New this morning, court documents reveal what could have led to a deadly explosion in downtown Sun Prairie.
And the candidates for governor are headed out for a final push following a poll that has them in a dead heat.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. Chris isn't sure if it actually is Thursday, but it is, and it's November 1st already.
I know.
Feels like a Monday to me.
You look
Don't
very
say
fall.
that. Yes, you do. You look lovely today.
Well, thank you very much. I had to make sure I went fall to avoid the Christmas look. I want to hold that off for a couple more weeks, but
thank you.
It is almost the most wonderful time of the year. All right, let's go ahead and talk the forecast. So as we head out the door, it was a wonderful couple weeks of weather that we've had. I mean, it's been okay. There have been some rain chances in there, but compared to what we've seen over the summer, it's been a good couple of weeks. And temperatures this morning are in the 30s for most of south central Wisconsin. There are some 40s, Mineral Point at 45 this morning, but then you have places like Black River Falls where it's 23. Ooh. And it gets colder as you work your way to the north as well. Temperatures are all in the up or the lower 30s and mid 20s there. The reason for that, they do not have cloud cover. We do. That cloud cover has been working as a blanket for us. It's all a part of a system down south that has brought a lot of folks some heavy rain. We have missed out on that, thankfully. So 39 to 46 as we go through the morning. By the afternoon, we'll see temperatures right around 52 degrees. Let's go ahead and show you guys how traffic is shaping up this morning. And that's it. It's fairly smooth across pretty much all of Dane County. So let's make sure we can keep it that way for as long as possible this morning. Very few brake lights are showing up across the area.
You know, Dave was telling us yesterday that this was like in the top 5 for wet years in Wisconsin.
It is, and we are content. Hattie and I are keeping records.
Yeah.
Essentially, we only need like 5 inches of rain to make it to the wettest year
Fingers
ever.
crossed we don't get there. Yeah.
Hattie and I want to get there because we're like, if we've already gone through it all, just go ahead and finish
not
up.
That was always Adam Schrager's. He was like, if we're going to get close enough, might as well be first, right?
I mean, you know.
There you go.
That's just the
We
way I
will
see
keep
it.
an eye on it. All right. Thank you very
My
much,
pleasure.
Chris.
We are learning more this morning about the deadly explosion in Sun Prairie over the summer. The State Journal reports the gas line that a communications company hit wasn't properly marked. According to a search warrant, a Wisconsin-based worker from an Indiana-based contracting company didn't mark that gas line at its actual location in the street. Instead, he marked a spot on a sidewalk about 25 feet away where there was no gas line. That worker has not been charged with a crime. The State Journal reports he refused to talk with investigators back in July. We will, of course, continue to follow this developing story and bring you the latest details over on channel3000.com.
New this morning, a man and woman are in the Dane County Jail after a police pursuit in a multi-car crash in Verona last night. Jennifer Kopis from Stoughton and Joseph Jackson of Madison face tentative charges for trying to elude police, but they'll likely face more. Verona officers responded to a business around 10 to 6 last night where Kopis was allegedly trying to return a stolen item. When police arrived, she ran into a car that Jackson was driving. The two then headed east in westbound lanes of East Verona Avenue, crashing into 4 other cars at the intersection of Maple Grove Drive. Now, no one was hurt in that crash. The off-ramp coming from Verona Road was closed for a couple hours, though. Officers searched Jackson and the car he was driving and found more than 4 grams of what they believe to be heroin.
In Rock County, a man is in the hospital and another in police custody after a shooting yesterday. 22-year-old Dominic Verdina is facing charges of first-degree attempted homicide in that case. It happened around 2:30 yesterday in an apartment parking lot in Janesville. That's where police found a 32-year-old man shot multiple times in the legs, the hand, and the stomach. He is expected to survive. Officers say it appears that shooting stemmed from an ongoing fight between the two men.
A new report shows the number of adults in Wisconsin's prisons has reached a record high. The study from the Wisconsin Policy Forum found nearly 24,000 people were incarcerated in state prisons last year. That's up 2.3% from 2016. The report attributes the growth to truth in sentencing laws, which can limit parole opportunities, as well as more inmates serving time for violent crimes.
Dane County could spend another $137,000 on designing a new jail. Supervisors will look at paying an area firm for some more consulting after those engineers told the county it can't build the jail on top of the public safety building. They found that building isn't sound enough to support more floors, and any addition could topple over in a strong wind. The new plan involves building on the parking lot behind the building. The county has already allocated $76 million to upgrade the jail. City and county officials are still working against the clock to lower lake levels from that historic flooding we saw this summer.
All that water could have some serious implications for the lakes this winter. Christina Laurie's live along Lake Monona this morning to explain why those high waters are still a problem. Christina, good morning.
Good morning, ladies. Right now, lake levels still sit above their summer maximum levels, not by much, by about 1 to 2 inches. But the problem is that lake levels here should be even lower than that before we head into winter. In a typical year, that means having the lakes at a certain level before November 1st, which, as you know, is today. The county wants to have the lake sitting lower during the colder months because ice expands. So lower water levels prevent ice damage to the shoreline. Lower levels also allow room for the spring runoff as the snow melts. Water engineers with the city of Madison like to see that lower level starting November 1st before the first hard winter freeze. Slow no wake orders are still in effect on all 4 of the major lakes, but the good news here is that they could be lifted over on Lake Monona as soon as this weekend and could be lifted here on Lake Monona soon after that. As you know, there already are changes here on Lake Monona. The sandbags that were in place across the lake on the path have been removed, so now bikers at least don't have to worry about that. Now soon, hopefully boaters like you, Leah, will have more opportunity to do everything you want out on the lakes, maybe for a couple days before it freezes.
Yeah, you know what, Christina? I didn't get my kayak out hardly at all this past month, so it would be nice. All right, Christina Laurie reporting live for us. Thank you.
6:06 right now, and just days ahead of the midterms, Governor Scott Walker and his Democratic challenger Tony Evers are tied in the polls. That's according to the latest results from the Marquette Law School, which shows Walker and Evers with 47% of the vote each. Poll director Charles Franklin says the two had the exact same number of people choose them in this latest survey. Now, Governor Walker led the race by 1 point earlier this month. That poll also shows Senator Tammy Baldwin maintaining a double-digit lead in the race for U.S. Senate. She is leading Republican Leah Vukmir 54 to 43%. She had a 10-point lead in the last poll. And in the race for Attorney General, incumbent Brad Schimmel leads challenger Josh Kaul by 2 points. However, some 7% of voters polled still don't know who they're going to vote for in that race.
In the wake of that poll, both Walker and Evers are hitting the road today to make their final push to get voters to the polls. The governor is starting a statewide bus tour with Paul Ryan and running mate Rebecca Clayfish today. The first stop in Waukesha later this morning. That tour will last through Sunday with multiple stops across Wisconsin. Meanwhile, Tony Evers will continue a bus tour of his own. His 6-day tour for change started yesterday in Dodgeville. In the U.S. Senate race, State Senator Leah Vukmir is getting some more support from the Trump administration. Kellyanne Conway will appear with Vukmir at an event in Appleton today. Senator Tammy Baldwin will be back in Madison this afternoon to cast her ballot early. It's part of a push to get people to submit their ballots ahead of Election Day. Tomorrow, she's going to get some support from fellow Senator Elizabeth Warren. That's at an event over at the Monona Terrace. All right, 6:08 your time now. After the absolutely brutal flu season we saw last winter, both Danica and I got sick. There's a first-of-its-kind drug now approved to treat the virus. The catch is, though, you have to catch the flu within its first 48 hours for it to really make a difference. Dr. Mara's in to let us know more about that treatment after the break.
Hopefully these moderate temperatures will keep the sickness away for a bit longer this season. Chris is in for Hattie with some sun-filled skies and his always sunny disposition when News 3 this morning continues.
Temperatures are in the 30s here in Madison as we wake up on this Thursday morning. Elsewhere, temperatures are either warmer or cooler. It really just depends on what direction in the state you go. Let's go ahead and show you temperatures across the state right now. Across the northern tier of the area, temperatures are very much into the 20s. Down south, though, temperatures in the 40s. Check out Milwaukee at 47 degrees. Now, the reason that we are so much warmer across the southern half of the state is we've had this cloud cover in place all night that's gradually kind of worked its way to the north and is being fought off by a cold front coming down out of Canada. And so that's keep bringing in more drier air and shunting this entire storm system across the Mid-South and the Ohio Valley away from us. So that is good news, but we will have some of the cloud cover to deal with as we go through today. Let's go ahead and break down temperatures. Here we are at lunchtime, 47 degrees. You'll notice those winds coming out of the north and northeast. It'll stay that way going through much of the day. 51 as we get you into the afternoon. Overnight tonight, our winds begin to come more so due north, but they'll relax a little bit as well. That's where temperatures will have the chance to fall towards the freezing mark. How cold we get will depend on how much cloud cover we do see, because cloud cover will be back on the increase headed into Friday. Our next system will be moving in. That'll bring a slight chance of showers Friday night and into Saturday. Better rain chances arrive Saturday and into Sunday as our next system comes on through. And then we'll have another system moving towards the Great Lakes Monday and into Tuesday. That could bring more chances for some rainfall as well. So it's an unsettled pattern that's going to be staying active as we do go through the start of November. So every day we'll be watching the different developments and the model trends just to see how they are trending and how they could impact our weather. For this morning, temperatures in the 30s now will make it into the mid and upper 40s as we head into the afternoon. By the afternoon, we'll see those highs in the low 50s, and that's when I do think we will have the chance to see at least a few peaks of some sunshine. I know we would all like to see some sunshine today, so we'll work on getting that in for us. But those rain chances, of course, are coming in Saturday night and through Sunday. More rain chances Monday and Tuesday. Then temperatures take a little bit of a fall after that. So check out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. And it's going to be a struggle to really get those temperatures into the low 40s. And it's that time of the year that we're going to start seeing more and more of those intrusions coming down from Canada that bring in that fairly cold air. So an active pattern overall as we go through the next 10 days. Now let's go to Jason Stone with your first alert traffic. Jason?
Well, thank you. There's mild crowding at both the Stoughton and Verona Road interchanges. Otherwise, it's all good so far on the Beltline. Motorists are moving at the posted speed limit. Driving into Madison is clear for your commute. Expect it to become busier with possible delays. As we check downtown, roads are mostly clear with slight congestion as of now on John Nolan near North Shore and at the intersection of East Wash and North Blair Street. With your first alert traffic, I'm Jason Stone.
All right, thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, Chris. 6:15 your time now. There is a new FDA-approved treatment for flu symptoms after nearly 1 million people were hospitalized last year with the virus.
Yeah, I'm smiling because this is good news. 80,000 people died from the flu last year, and doctors hope this medication could alleviate some of the harsh side effects that actually land people in the hospital. Dr. Mandira Mehra is here with SSM Health to talk more about this new medication. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for waking up.
Yeah.
So this is a big deal because it's pretty much, it's the first of its kind, and we should get it here by the time the flu really hits us hard.
In the next few weeks is when we're anticipated for it to hit the market. So just in time for flu season to really start ramping up. So what we're looking at here is a medication called Xofluza. It's the only medication of its type that can be taken within 48 hours of flu symptoms starting. Not more than that, so under 48 hours, and it's a single dose drug. So I know a lot of us are familiar with what's already on the market called Tamiflu.
Yeah.
Tamiflu is multiple doses, usually twice a day, usually for days, sometimes weeks, depending on your symptoms. And of course, as we increase dosing, compliance goes down. So the fact that we could take a single tablet and this could reduce symptoms and hopefully complications from the flu season, that's huge. And this is the first time in 20 years the FDA has even approved a medication.
Wow.
So we're talking about really revolutionizing potentially how the flu hits us. Now, mind you, we're going to have to see how this affects us, and only time will really tell. But it's been as effective as Tamiflu, but again, that single dose.
Yeah.
We're looking at about $150 cost right now, which sounds really steep, but the company has come out and said that they will offer coupons. So with that coupon, we're looking at maybe a $30 price point.
Oh. And quickly before the next topic, this does not take the place of a flu shot.
It does not, and thank you, Danica, for bringing that up. So the best thing you can do to prevent yourself from having the flu is please get vaccinated, get the flu vaccine. This is kind of the optimal time, right around beginning of November. So if you haven't gotten it, please go out and get it. But of course, if you do develop those flu symptoms, tell your doctor right away because it has to be taken within 48 hours.
We also want to talk this morning about a study that says not exercising is worse for you than smoking. That's crazy to me.
This is good news, right? For yourself, for me, for everyone who's kind of an exercise buff out there. Next time we'll wear our leg warmers and do some exercises on the show. But I know we always talk about how great exercise is, but let's talk about the other side of things. So what are risk factors? Smoking, diabetes, hypertension. We invest over $200 billion a year on these disease processes. But now this is a huge study that showed that not exercising, meaning just being sedentary, just kind of living that classic Western lifestyle where we sit at work, we sit on our way home, we sit when we get home. Leading that lifestyle where we're sedentary increases your risk of death by 500%. So this should be a risk factor just like any other risk factor when your doctor says, hey, do you smoke? Do you have diabetes? Do you have hypertension? So what's the message here? The message here, without getting too technical, is get out there and exercise. An amazing thing here was it affected men, women, and people of all ages. So it doesn't matter how old you are, if you're out there listening, the prescription today is get out there and exercise. You're doing yourself good, and there's really no limit to it.
500%.
500. It sounds comical, but 500% is a lot. We're talking, don't do a little bit of exercise, get out there, break a sweat, do what's safe for you, talk to your doctor, but stay in motion.
All right, Dr. Mara, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Great to be here.
Yeah, good to see you. All right, 6:18 right now, and there are hundreds of thousands of people in Wisconsin alone who are committed to taking care of someone else, and sometimes that means they're not taking care of themselves. We'll share what that responsibility means for family members, their well-being, and the economy coming up.
And Chris says the kiddos might need another jacket today. We'll be a couple of degrees colder than yesterday and drop some more tomorrow. We're going to get an update on your bus stop forecast. That's when News 3 This Morning returns.
It's 37 degrees and mostly cloudy as we begin to wake up on your Thursday, and that means you will want that light jacket, especially as you begin to head out. So kids, by the time you begin to head to school, temperatures should be right around 40 degrees. It will be mostly cloudy though, so it's going to feel a little bit cooler as well with that breeze coming out of the northeast. Headed home though, we'll see those temperatures in the low 50s along with some sunshine kind of returning into the picture, and that's overall the story of our morning. 39 to 46 throughout the morning, and then we'll hit lunchtime, and then 52 as we reach the afternoon with the peaks of sunshine returning to the picture. Danica.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Chris. A group supporting caretakers across Wisconsin will be at the state capitol today, sharing some personal stories and fighting for additional funding. November is National Caregivers Month, and 85% of Wisconsinites who have a loved one who can't care for themselves also can't find enough paid care workers to meet their needs. That means most of the state's 550,000 caregivers are taking on those responsibilities. Tasks like managing medications, planning nutritious meals, and driving to doctor's appointments. That amounts to an estimated $6 billion of unpaid work a year. And on top of that, more than half of those people have to cut back on their work hours. The newly formed Wisconsin Family and Caregiver Support Alliance will meet with legislators starting at 10 o'clock this morning.
The United Way of Dane County is helping people get insured as the open enrollment period for the healthcare marketplace starts today. The United Way counts more than 21,000 people here in Dane County who don't have insurance right now. In an effort to get those people covered, they're again offering their Health Connect program that helps cover the cost of monthly premium payments. To qualify, people have to have a household income between $12,000 and $18,000 for single people and between $25,000 and $37,000 for a family of 4. Open enrollment runs through December 15th for coverage starting with the new year. You can look up plans and prices online over at healthcare.gov.
The mortality rate for liver cancer is increasing at a faster rate than any other cancer out there. The number of deaths each year nearly doubled here in Wisconsin from 1995 to 2015. But survival is possible.
When I'm like in the dugout, I sometimes talk. Like there's like a little window, but it's like open. And then I usually talk with him a lot. Weird, funny. It's just like a normal grandpa, but even better.
So that's Oliver and Cameron describing their grandpa Bill. Bill Lawton was not even sure he would ever meet his grandkids after being diagnosed with liver cancer. Dr. Sam Lubner was part of Bill's treatment team. He's been working with liver cancer patients for almost a decade and says the slow-moving nature of the disease is one of the reasons mortality rates continue to rise.
Even in the best of circumstances, you're still left with a diseased liver at the end of treatment. So even if you can come up with a really good intervention, sometimes the person is still pretty sick.
Dr. Lubner adds people with liver cancer don't often show symptoms, which makes it really hard to detect early on. Factors like obesity and alcohol can contribute to someone's risk, and those rates have gone up, not down, in recent years. Tonight at 10, we will share more of Bill's story and what it took to survive this kind of cancer.
A lucky man to have grandkids like that, and lucky grandkids to still have their grandpa.
Absolutely, especially after a diagnosis like that. It's very scary. Hopefully you can tune in tonight at 10 for that story.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, 6:25 your time now. The city of Madison is already gearing up for the first major storm this winter, working well ahead of time to try and keep salt use to a minimum.
And with tomorrow being the last day to register for absentee voting ahead of Tuesday's election, we already set a new state record. The day's top stories are coming up on News 3 this morning.
New data shows just days before the midterm election, outside interests are spending more than ever to sway Wisconsin voters.
And the flooding this summer will still have an impact this winter. I'll explain what happens when these high lakes freeze over.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. It is 6:29 now on this Thursday, November 1st. And our Christina Laurie is talking about freezing lakes.
I know.
I only know one person who's ready to talk about that, and I think you know him too.
I think I do. I think he's outside on the patio right now. Still wondering, Chris, I haven't even been paying much attention to what's behind you. Did they remove all the spooktacular stuff?
They have removed the
bummer.
spooktacular stuff, so my morning laughs are gone, but I think you guys are keeping it up with those jokes there about the lakes. I guess I'm ready. But in the meantime, we're talking about temperatures that are in the 30s here in Madison. A lot cooler off to the north, though. 22 degrees right now in Black River Falls. And as we zoom out and take in the state of Wisconsin as a whole, you'll notice the theme of a cooler northern half of the state as opposed to the southern half of the state. We've been socked in with cloud cover just about all night long. That's work to keep us warm, and we're going to keep that cloud cover around going through a large portion of the morning. So that is going to keep temperatures kind of steady in the upper 30s and low to mid 40s. As we head into the afternoon, though, I do expect some warmer air to arrive. So we'll see those highs in the low 50s. That's also when we should be able to break up some of that cloud cover, and so we'll see a few peaks of sunshine around then as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at your first alert traffic. Here is a live look outside right now, and a lot of the roadways around Wisconsin, they are moving smoothly. That is good news. You have a few brake lights starting to show up around the Stoughton Road area, but for the most part, Dane County, as you begin your commutes into Madison or towards whatever suburb it is that you commute to, there are no major issues showing up as of now. So that is the fantastic news.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
The Wisconsin Elections Commission is reporting a record number of absentee ballots ahead of Tuesday's midterms. Nearly 378,000 absentee ballots have been cast to date. That exceeds the total from midterms 2 years ago, and just over 374,000. Now, Wisconsin Public Radio reports here in Madison, that is, more than 32,000 absentee ballots have been issued, and 28,000 of those have been cast. Election officials say those numbers are on track for the city to set a midterm election voter turnout record as well. Tomorrow's the deadline to register to vote absentee ahead of Election Day, but some locations are going to be open through the weekend.
Spending is considerably higher this year for groups outside of Wisconsin trying to influence the state's election. The State Journal cites data from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign showing outside groups have spent $30 million on ads that ask people to vote for or against a candidate. The last highest number was around $20 million, and that was set back in 2014. The money spent to help Republicans in these 2018 midterms is more than double that spent on Democrats.
Voters in the village of Darien will be asked about cutting ties with the Delavan-Darien School District on Tuesday. The Janesville Gazette reports the conversation started back in May. Village board members were upset by the district's decision to close Darien Elementary School. That's the only public school within village boundaries. The referendum on Tuesday's ballot asks whether there should be a committee that would head up the detachment process. Now, that would still involve 2 years of planning, referendums, and approval by the school board or the state. School district officials oppose the idea.
Here in Madison, the school district has a new budget for next year after protests forced the members to reschedule their meeting ahead of today's deadline. The vote on the $450 million budget was supposed to happen on Monday, but board president Mary Perk adjourned that meeting early after members from a group called Freedom Inc. started protesting over police officers in schools. Now, last night, board members also approved a report by an ad hoc committee recommending to keep those officers. That vote was 6-0 with one member abstaining.
6:33 right now. Madison and Dane County leaders are looking into a technical work group that would study how to avoid future flooding for lakes and rivers in the area.
Yeah, lake levels have come down drastically since their peaks, but there still is some concern heading into the winter. Our Christina Laurie is live along Lake Monona this morning to explain. Good morning, Christina.
Leah and Danica, the 4 major lakes are finally almost back to normal, sitting now 1 to 2 inches above their typical summer levels. But starting today, officials will start monitoring lake levels a little bit differently, turning to their winter monitoring system. We told you earlier in the show how county officials like to see water levels at a lower point during the winter months compared to summer. This gives ice room to expand and also room for the runoff come springtime. Changing weather also plays a factor in that, according to the county. I'm told a cold, hard winter typically keeps ice in its place. But if we have constant swings in temperatures like we've already seen for much of the fall, ice can shift and perhaps damage the shoreline. Another thing to note right now, the buoys that were in the Yahara River as well as all 4 lakes were removed this week. So officials ask boaters to use extra caution when out on the lakes because the hazardous paths will no longer be marked. And some good news, the slow no wake orders that have been in effect since August 21st for more than 2 months now are expected to be lifted as soon as this weekend. So maybe you'll have a little bit of time before these lakes to freeze over to enjoy that.
You know, I don't know if I'm causing a wake in my kayak. Maybe I am. I'm a pretty strong rower, but yeah, I do have some time to get out. All right, Christina Laurie reporting live for us. Thank you, Christina.
Certainly have to layer up, though.
Yes.
All right, speaking of all the flooding this summer, the city of Madison will continue collecting used sandbags through Thanksgiving weekend. And later today, a committee will talk about how that collection is going so far. Street Screws started that curbside pickup on Monday. You're actually looking at video from the city that shows the recycling process. You can keep sandbags for future flooding. However, the city is asking people to take them off their lawns, off their properties, and store them for the winter.
Speaking of winter, that committee is also going to talk about road salt use in Madison. According to city statistics, nearly 44.5 inches of snow fell over 34 days last year. That meant the city laid down 6,700 tons of salt, 7,300 tons of sand, and 56,000 gallons of saltwater brine. Meanwhile, the Streets Division plans to add 2 new salt routes on the east side. It's also added GPS to help plow drivers be more accurate and more accountable.
6:36 right now. Drivers can get off of Verona Road again this morning after a multi-car crash shut down a ramp last night. We'll tell you what led up to that wreck in the morning sprint.
And a well-known nonprofit leader is coming back to Madison after claiming his new workplace was a hostile environment. We'll have more on his return when News 3 This Morning continues.
Welcome back. It is almost 6:40 on this Thursday morning, and we always ask you to share your morning with us. Joe sent this one over. He actually posted it, I should say, on Facebook. This is Prairie to Sac as the harvest begins, he says. Really nice shot there. Like nice fall colors before all the leaves got blown down.
Oh yeah, Danica knows how much I love a good farming picture as well. Just love that, Joe. Thanks so much for sharing. What does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it on our Facebook page or on Twitter and use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. Danica and I share our favorites every morning right here on the program. 6:40 your time now. The former CEO of the Dane County Boys and Girls Club is planning a move back to Madison this morning. Michael Johnson has been serving as the CEO of the United Way of Greater Cincinnati. Just yesterday, he shared the news on Facebook that his family will be moving back to Madison next month. News outlets in Cincinnati report that announcement comes just 3 days after sending an email to his board of directors, alleging he's been the victim of subtle threats and a hostile work environment. Johnson says he'll share more details about his future plan soon.
There's still some question as to how the city of Madison will fully settle an ongoing dispute with a Chicago developer all over a major downtown development. Common Council was one vote short of approving a $600,000 payment to Beitler Real Estate. That company, you may remember, was hired to construct parts of Judge Doyle Square. It sued the city over some of the project's finances, but withdrew the lawsuit back in August and has been trying to negotiate with the city ever since. The $600,000 payment would reportedly make up for some of the lost time. 2 alders were absent for Tuesday's vote, so it could be reconsidered.
All right, Chris Reese is probably pretty giddy back in the News 3 weather office this morning, not because of the sunshine today or the cooler temperatures tomorrow, but the snow possible in the extended forecast. That's right, our Houston native has the details after the break.
But first, it is November 1st. Happy birthday to Brecklin, Levi, and all the kiddos turning 3 today. Hope you have a great day, and thanks for letting us share it with you. News 3 This Morning. We'll be right back. You are looking live this morning at the beautiful Madison skyline right off Lake Monona there. We are looking forward to a really nice day to enjoy anything outside, whether it's downtown or not. Let's send it over to Chris Reese with your updated forecast. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. I think we'll have a chance to do that today, minus a little bit of cloud cover. But now that we have ended October and we go into a new month, I do want to see how things shaped up. Typically in October 1st, we're right around 65 degrees. We started out the month with temperatures about 10 degrees below average in terms of the highs. And then you're by the end of the month, yesterday, we were actually a couple degrees above average. But the warmest day in October topped out at 81 degrees. The lowest morning low was 22. That occurred on October 21st there. But we had a lot of rain going through the month along with those cooler temperatures. So here's how temperatures have shaped up over fall so far. September above normal, October below normal. So far we are right around a degree above normal for the season. Of course, we still have November to go through. Rainfall wise, just like summer, just like spring, we continue to be very wet and a lot more moisture has been in our atmosphere compared to normal. We'll see how that continues as we head into the winter months. We're expected to be drier for now, but we'll see. Temperature-wise this morning, we are right around where we should be at 37 this morning. As you work your way towards the north, it's a lot cooler. That's where they've had clear skies in play. We've got a lot of cloud cover from a system down to our south and east, and this regional low pressure is going to be bringing a lot of heavy rain through the Ohio Valley and towards the northeast. High pressure coming out of Canada is bringing a weak cold front on through, and that is kind of helping keep that storm system at bay and south and east of us. So here we are going through the day. By 9 o'clock, temperature should be right around 40 degrees. Here we are at 12, 47 degrees, and notice those winds still kind of coming out of the north as we go throughout the day. We'll see a little bit of clearing overnight as lows fall towards the freezing mark. But then the clouds increase again as we head into your Friday. That's ahead of another rain chance. And those best rain chances are going to arrive more so Saturday and into Sunday. That'll zip on through here and clear out by Monday. But then Monday into Tuesday, we're watching this system. And the models have been back and forth on whether or not they want to take it farther to the east or farther to the west. And of course, we're going to keep a close eye on that for what that would mean in terms of how much rainfall and wind we could see as we go from Monday into Tuesday. In the meantime, we are keeping a rain chance Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Temperatures initially in the low 50s as we start next week, but then the trend is for them to end up in the low 40s as we head towards the end of next week for those highs. There's a rain and snow chance as we get you towards next weekend. Pet Walk, Ranger, and Monticello looking good with his Milwaukee Brewers hat there. I wonder if he was at the World Series. You just never know.
You know what? That is a good point. You do never know who's going to show up to those games with a cat or other animal.
If you are walking Ranger today, as always, I love the story of people walking their cats every time I have to mention it. But we'll see some cloud cover and temperatures in the 50s around 3 o'clock.
Keeping him warm with that little helmet.
Yes. Yeah, you got it. Thank you, Chris.
Stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next.
6:51, time now for the morning sprint. Chris has another sun-filled day to start off November.
And Christina Lori's talking about high lake levels and what problems they could bring come winter. But we start with record-breaking voting numbers. Hundreds of thousands of people are submitting their absentee ballots ahead of next week's midterm elections, already topping previous midterm records. According to the Wisconsin Elections Committee, nearly 378,000 absentee ballots have been cast to date. That's just over the total from 2 years ago at around 374,000. Friday is the deadline to register to vote absentee ahead of Election Day.
Political groups outside of Wisconsin are paying considerably more for ads ahead of the midterms. The State Journal cites data from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign showing that outside groups have spent $30 million on those ads here in the state. Now, according to those stats, the money spent in support of Republicans is more than double of that spent on Democrats.
President Trump is making a last-minute campaigning push to help maintain Republican control of Congress. In the 6 days leading up to Tuesday's midterm elections, the president is holding nearly a dozen rallies in 8 different states to support GOP Senate candidates in neck-and-neck races. He is not planning to make a stop in Wisconsin ahead of those midterms.
The latest Marquette Law School poll results just released yesterday show Governor Scott Walker tied with his challenger, Tony Evers. The governor is on a statewide bus tour through the weekend. Evers started his 6-day so-called Tour for Change yesterday in Dodgeville. Both Walker and Evers, I should say, had 47% of support from voters surveyed in that latest poll.
In the U.S. Senate race, State Senator Leah Vukmir will be at an event in Appleton today with counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway. Senator Tammy Baldwin is voting here in Madison early. Tomorrow, she's going to get some support from fellow Senator Elizabeth Warren at an event at the Monona Terrace. The latest Marquette Law School poll shows Baldwin leading Vukmir 54 to 43%.
We're waking up right now. There's a lot of cloud cover out there. You would be able to see it, but the sun has not come up yet, so do expect that later on. As we head through the day, stepping out the door, temperatures will be in the 30s, but by the time we begin to head home, it will be the low 50s with a little bit more in the way of some sunshine. Same goes for the kids going to the bus stop, clouds and 40 degrees headed off to school. By the time you come home from school, 52 and partly sunny.
Thank you, Chris. We are learning more about what may have led up to the deadly explosion in Sun Prairie over the summer. Court documents say the gas line that was hit was not properly marked. That's according to a search warrant that showed a worker did not mark that gas line at its actual location in the street. Instead, he allegedly marked it at a spot on the sidewalk about 25 feet away where there was no gas line. We have much more on this developing story over on channel3000.com.
A man and a woman are in the Dane County Jail this morning after a police pursuit and a multi-car crash in Verona last night. Police say Jennifer Kopis of Stoughton and Joseph Jackson of Madison were in a chase with officers after trying to return a stolen item to a business. Officers say Jackson crashed into 4 different cars at the intersection of Verona Avenue and Maple Grove Drive. No one was hurt. Officers searched that vehicle and found more than 4 grams of what they believe to be heroin.
2 people suspected of a multi-county crime spree here in Wisconsin are awaiting extradition this morning. Samuel Schutte and Stephanie Retzlaff were arrested in Toledo, Ohio Tuesday night. They're accused of armed robbery, high-speed chases, hitting a motorist, eluding arrest, and several other charges in Dane, Grant, Greene, and Rock counties. The 2 should eventually face arraignments in each of those county courts.
Dane County could spend another $137,000 on designing a new jail. Supervisors will look at paying an area firm for some more consulting after those engineers told the county it can't build the jail on top of the public safety building. They found that building isn't sound enough to support more floors, and any addition could topple over in a strong wind. The county has already allocated $76 million to upgrade the jail.
Months after historic flooding here in Madison, the Yahara Lakes remain abnormally high, which city officials warn could cause problems as we head into winter. Now, November 1st is usually a deadline for officials as it marks the period where they start looking at winter levels rather than summer. All 4 of the major lakes in the county are still 1 to 2 inches above their summer levels. The problem is that the water should be even lower than that heading into winter because as the temperature drops, ice expands and can damage the shoreline. Water engineers like to see that lower level starting November 1st. They're currently drawing down lakes as quickly as possible in hopes of getting water levels down ahead of the first hard winter freeze.
All right, Christina, thank you so much. A city committee is also looking ahead to winter, talking about road salt use in Madison. Last year, the city laid down 6,700 tons of salt, 7,300 tons of sand, and 56,000 gallons of saltwater brine. The Streets Division plans to add 2 new salt routes on the east side and has added GPS to help plow drivers be more accurate and accountable.
6:56 now. Let's turn it over to Jason Stone with a look at your first alert traffic. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. No issues on the Beltline as drivers are moving along well. The heaviest volume is on the exit ramps at Verona Road. It's smooth driving on John Nolan with light traffic forming at the Rimrock intersection in all directions, and it's getting busier at North Shore Drive. Traffic is starting to converge on West Washington and South Park Street, and routes coming into Madison are clear for your morning commute. With your first alert traffic, I'm Jason Stone.
Thank you, Jason.
And as we've said all morning, we do have the clouds out there. Temperatures are in the upper 30s right now. We'll continue to see those temperatures gradually begin to warm up as we go through the morning. So 39 to 46 by lunchtime, mostly cloudy and seasonably cool by the time we get you into the afternoon. We'll see those temperatures reach the low 50s for those highs, and that's also about when we should see some peaks of sunshine.
Going to be a pretty decent day.
Oh, yes, it should be.
Thank you, Chris. Enjoy that sun, and make sure you download our First Alert Weather and Traffic app to check out the chance for rain this weekend.